Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have had quite the busy summer this year between my full time job, which can get pretty demanding during the summertime, and well, I picked up a fairly ambitious plant project for myself this year. I have been working on it since maybe early May, and yeah, I felt like today is a time I wanted to talk to you guys about what I've been working on. What this project is about, let me walk you through my thought process before I dive into it. Basically, I have been eyeing the rare plant market fairly closely. My curiosity has piqued in terms of why is a plant considered rare? Why do they carry the value that they carry? And given the value that they have, why do people still buy them? One of these rare plants that I purchased for myself is the Alocasia Chantieri pink. Now, I love the green version, like just the regular Chantieri, but I also cannot lie when I say I really love the variegation of this plant. That's the other leaf there. So, if you saw my unboxing video when I unboxed this plant on my birthday, you may notice that there are not as many leaves on here. A lot of the leaves that this plant shipped with did not make it. So these were the new growths since I've been growing it. And you can see back here, it is working on another leaf there. Anyways, back to why I started this project. There are many plants like the Alocasia chantieri pink that hold a certain value, and yes, the price may come down over time, but they are still very expensive. So I know I bought this plant because I wanted to treat myself for my birthday. But why do people still buy these plants when they are so expensive? So that was one of the first questions that I had for myself. One of the connections that I made is that a lot of people are buying these rare plants as an investment. They grow, and if you know how to grow plants, you may want to invest in something, propagate it, and sell it back. So it gives you access to that plant, and then you get to make back your money and potentially also profit. If you keep continuously growing it, of course, eventually you'll profit. Another observation that I made is that where I am located, I am in Ontario, Canada, there aren't any rare plant shops. There are some shops that sell fairly rare things here locally, but there isn't anything comparable to, say, a rare plant fairy, which is a US plant shop that sells a lot of rare plants between monsteras, philodendrons, alocasias, and a variety of other types of plants. So, if you want a rare plant, you may have to find it on Facebook Marketplace, maybe join some Facebook groups where they have rare plant sellers. But otherwise, there isn't really a shop that you can go to that will offer these plants. So that got me thinking, and especially watching content like Rare Plant Ninja, which I highly recommend. He specializes in alocasias. He invests in, buying corms, variegated alocasia corms, sprouting them, and basically selling them back and sort of doing a rotation and maybe growing the plants up, letting them produce corms and selling the corms of the variegated corms that he purchased. And now I'm a little bit inspired, I have to admit. And I thought, why don't I try something like that? Because I also love alocasias and I already have a chantieri pink. Why not make that investment and also sort of provide some of that availability here locally? And truly, I feel like this is a nice shift into doing more of what I love. I love growing plants. And if I could maybe transition into a place where maybe I'm running my own shop and working a little bit more with plants than necessarily doing what I'm doing for work right now would be ideal. I have always believed in doing what I love. And yeah, I just thought, let's just invest in a few of these plants and just see how things go. So, what I want to do today is sort of go through some of the plants that I have and just sort of talk to you about what I've been doing. Truly, it has been an exciting few months for me. I have been learning a lot. I've experimented a little bit. I've done quite a bit of research. I've learned a lot between how do you import these plants or can you source them? How do you acclimate these plants when you do import them? And how do you care for them? They are essentially like non-variegated alocasias, but as you know, with, for example, albo variegated plants, they are lacking a little bit of chlorophyll, so sometimes you do want to treat them just a little bit differently. And I've even gone as far as even investing in a grow tent to grow these plants in. So I'm excited to share with you guys today some of the plants that I do have. This one here is an Alocasia Regal Shield albo, and this one is from, I'd say, an experiment. Firstly, I have a corm potted up in fluval stratum and perlite, and this is actually not what I purchased. I purchased a very large reverted Alocasia Regal Shield, and I got it at a discounted price, heavily discounted, in fact, because it was basically completely reverted. But my thought process from my learnings and my research is that you can probably still get a very variegated corm from these reverted plants. And that is what I experimented with. I think I got maybe 20 to 25 corms from this massive plant because it was never harvested. And not a lot of the corms had very high variegation, but ultimately I did get at least one. So this one was really cool. I really like the non variegated Alocasia Regal Shield, but I will say this is quite unique. I like the dimensions of color on it. It's like green, purple, and white almost, like pretty marbled. And I don't know. I actually think it's pretty cute. As you know, if you've grown a Regal Shield, they're pretty easy growers, I'd say, relatively speaking, in the alocasia world. Pretty hardy, they get pretty big. They are a cross between an Alocasia Black Velvet and Alocasia Odora, and they're just gorgeous. I'm just really excited to see how this one will grow. And yeah, I'm curious to see too from the other 20 plus corms that I have if maybe the first leaf wasn't very variegated, but I might get another very variegated leaf. So I'm really excited to see that. But I just have a bunch of them going right now from that massive plant. So you never know. If you buy a reverted plant, I would still say you never know what you might get. Another fun alocasia I wanted to share is this Alocasia Ninja Tricolor Splash. I've just been getting so many different like variations of colors on this thing. And I believe I got it as a very tiny plant, fairly tiny, like with like 3 or 4 leaves. I don't know if I took a picture, but I'm just happy with how well it grew. And they're pretty like cardboard like the texture. I don't know, gorgeous alocasia. And I think I got this, yeah, I think it was just like this. And it has been growing so many roots. I need to repot it. I haven't touched it since I received it. And it does look like it's going to need an up pot, but it's growing super well. It is corming up. And so I'm assuming it's a very happy plant, but very cute. Ninjas are pretty nice though. I don't have a pure ninja. This is probably the only version of a ninja that I have. And I've just been enjoying it. It just grows so well. Easy grower. I also think this is also in fluval stratum and perlite, I believe. So I think when I up pot it, I'll probably put it into a Cocoa Choir mix. I've been switching over to Cocoa Choir over peat moss. I'm starting to like that a little bit more. Before I show you the next plant, I just wanted to add a little bit of an explanation why I often do air quotes when I talk about the word rare when it comes to these plants, whether it's alocasias or other rare plants. I I wonder what that rare word means. I feel like a lot of times we might consider something to be rare and it's maybe not that rare, or maybe it's just more of an inaccessibility. I don't know what rare means a lot of the time. I just feel like it's just not available or not prevalent here. Or does rare mean very expensive? I think that's probably where I stand with that word. I don't love it. Um, but I guess how else can you describe these plants? So that is why I continue to use it, but it's also why I often add these air quotes. I don't know how you guys might feel about it, but curious to hear your perspective on that word rare when it comes to these rare plants. How do you feel about it? The next plant has to be one of my favorite alocasias right now. And it's wild just because no matter how much I love the color pink, this one just stands out to me. And it is this Alocasia Reginae aurea. Oops. And I've been pretty much raving about this quite a bit on Instagram. I've just made a few posts on it. It's just gorgeous. I love it. And it's almost like a camo effect with this like coloration. And at the same time, it has or can develop like a reddish color on the backs of the leaves. They're very thick and leathery textured. And simply because of how much I loved this plant here, I thought, why not also grab an Alocasia reginae albo? So this one's quite small, but I also love the variegation pattern on this one. And it almost matches this, where it's almost like a camo effect. And honestly speaking, when I purchased this, they called this Alocasia reginae pink. Now, I think it shows more of this albo color because it hasn't developed that red coloration underneath the leaf yet. But as you can see, when it matures, it eventually will develop that. And I wonder if this will start to show more pink when that time comes. So, recently got these. Um, I believe these two were imports from Thailand. This one a few months back, and this one maybe a week ago, a week or two ago, I want to say. I think it was last week that I got this one. So, yeah, oh my gosh, I just, even if I could find a non-variegated reginae, there's just something about the texture, but I also can't find something like that. And again, when we talk about rare plants, right? I can't even find a non-variegated version of this plant. Is that considered rare too? I think so, but I'm certain that this variegated version is going to carry more of a cost than the non-variegated one. But either way, I think if you have a reginae, great plant. So, one other thing I wanted to call out for the reginaes, in order for me to purchase those, I had to use someone in Canada who had a permit to purchase these plants for me. And they often offer it as a service, or they do like a group bulk purchase and you sort of pay per plant for shipping and stuff such like that. However, I found a way to do importing myself even without a permit. Ultimately, my goal is to get one, but you don't necessarily need a permit when you are buying plants as a Canadian. And this is one of the plants that I got. This here is an Alocasia sanderiana bull pink. So it looks very much like an Amazonica. I genuinely do not remember what the differences are. I believe one gets fairly big, and I don't remember which one. My understanding is the Alocasia amazonica is a hybrid of Alocasia sanderiana and some form of longiloba. A lot of people say that that is some sort of Watsoniana, but I'm just going to say Alocasia sanderiana crossed with longiloba. This is just a pure Sanderiana bull. And I think it's bull because it has to do with the shape of the leaves. And yeah, I just got this maybe last week. Yeah, I got it the same time as the reginae albo in a separate order, but um yeah, I worked with someone in Thailand. I will say I gained a new friend because she's also a collector. And yeah, I got this plant from her among a few others that I got from her. And I'm really glad I made that connection. So this is one. I would also say the other difference I think to the Amazonica is that these have like very like dark green leathery leaves where I think the Amazonica almost has like silvery lines. I don't think it's a perfect cross between Sanderiana and the Longiloba, but it's some sort of hybrid. I just don't know how it's actually crossed, but I think that's one of the differences here, right? It's a little bit greener. But in terms of size, I guess time will tell. When I grow this, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's why it's still in this moss, and I haven't repotted it into a soil mix because I just got the plant. Another plant that I purchased from her is this Alocasia bisma platinum albo. I love the bisma in general, although I cannot find one really easily. I have not been able to find one locally, but then I saw this albo variegated one, and I'm learning as I've been collecting these variegated alocasias. I I'm really enjoying these half moons, like the split of, white variegation and then the green on the other side, and it has quite a few of them. And I don't know, I just think that this alocasia is just so pretty. As soon as she showed me this plant and she's like, "Oh, would you like this?" I was like, "Absolutely. Yes, I would love to take it." You can also see it's growing another leaf in between here. But yeah, this was another one. You can see it's still in the moss 'cause I just got it last week. So I'm just acclimating it like this. I haven't been testing out too many different acclimation methods when it comes to um, importing alocasias. I've been sort of sticking to a consistent method as long as the plant has roots or if it is shipped to me pretty much bare root. Sometimes I find if it is very well rooted in whatever mix it's in, I just don't want to mess with the roots. As sensitive as alocasias are, I just don't want to mess with them after they have been, spending what, maybe 5 days in transportation from Thailand to my home. So yeah, it shipped in moss, this one, and I just sort of added some perlite and then put it in a cup like this. But again, she shipped this plant pretty much in pristine condition. I don't think I lost a single leaf on this plant. It looks exactly the same as how she showed it to me in Thailand, like in the picture that she sent to me. So, definitely excited about this one as well, and hoping it continues to root well and grow well because it's such a gorgeous plant. The last plant that I wanted to share with you is a little bit of an unusual one. I don't know how many of you will be familiar with this type of alocasia, but I saw a more mature version of it, and I don't know, I really like it. It's one that would have a little bit more of like longer leaves, and this is it here. It's still pretty young, but this is an Alocasia venusta aurea variegated. I believe this is aurea, despite how this almost looks white here, where it almost looks maybe tricolor. I'm not sure, but you can also see how this leaf has hardened. it definitely gives more aurea vibes in my eyes. But I don't know. I have fallen in love with this plant. I also had this imported from Thailand, and this leaf grew with me. It had a smaller leaf, and it didn't make it, and it looks like it's working on another growth here. I don't know how well you can see, but there's a little bit of a stem here. There we go. And yeah, this also started growing a bit of a half moon. Maybe not perfect, but it's pretty darn close to perfect, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I would say it's unusual. I don't think I ever heard of this one before. I think I just saw it pop up one day, like on a list of, it was a corm list at a show in Thailand. And I saw Alocasia venusta. And I'm like, what is an Alocasia venusta? And even the non variegated one is pretty cool looking. It's, I don't think I can think of many alocasias that have a very like long and narrow form. I guess some longulobas can have that form, but not as narrow as this one. So I thought it was unique. It does seem like another type of jewel alocasia. I don't think it gets super large, but I just saw this and I thought I would try it out. And yeah, currently growing this in soil. I think it came to me in a sphagnum moss, in a cup of sphagnum moss, and I eventually just moved it over to the soil mix. And I say soil, it really is a soilless mix. I just can't, my brain is very much registered to say soil, but it is cocoa coir, perlite, fir bark. I believe I added vermiculite and worm castings, and it is quite green in here. I used some fertilized water. I just need to clean it out. But that will happen when you have like very rich fertilizer and then you put bright light on the plant. Not necessarily the plant actually, but like the water. When with the high nutrients, algae feeds on it, and then you just get a bunch of algae. So it's not pretty to look at. I need to clean it, but yeah, that is the Alocasia venusta, or at least a very young one. So excited to see how this one's gonna grow because it can get a little bit bigger. I don't know how much bigger, but we'll find out. All right, so those are some of the plants that I wanted to share with you today. I definitely have a bunch of learnings and things that I want to share, but I just wanted to focus more on a few of the plants that I have. I do have a few more. If you want to see them, let me know. I am also regularly posting these plants on Instagram, showing progress or new leaves, anything like that, any updates in regards to that. And yeah, I'm curious to hear what are some plants that are on your wish list? It doesn't have to be alocasias only, although I am currently specializing in alocasias. That's where I want to start. But I'm curious, what are plants that are on your wish list or plants that you have seen where you would love to have it, but it just feels unattainable because you can't find it, or the prices are just so high, or you'd like to import it but don't know how to, and therefore you just basically have no access to it. Curious to hear from you guys, what are those plants for you? I'm finding I have been creating my own list like that, and I may share with you guys in a future video. Specifically on alocasias, though, there are some where it just seems really hard to find. Even in Thailand, it seems like it's really hard to find people who have the plant, and I just find it a little bit tricky. It's definitely interesting to learn about the rarity of some things. You'll see them on Instagram and you think, oh, that must be accessible because so and so has one. And then you find out they really aren't that easy to acquire. I've been finding that a lot, or running into that issue a lot, where I think, well, there's so many pictures of it online from so many different people. How is it not accessible? And why does it have the price tag that it has? So, yeah, that's my it's one of the learnings I've had, and I'm curious to know about your experiences when it comes to these rare plants. Anyways, that's all that I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or if you learned something new, feel free to hit the like button. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or want to share some of your plants on your wish list, feel free to add them in the comment section below. If you would like to keep up to date on the plants that I am acquiring or investing in, or their progress, including the plants that I showed you today, follow me on Instagram. I will be keeping consistent and posting there. And yeah, that's everything. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.